My girlfriend announced, "My ex is visiting for a week. If you don't like it, you can leave." So I did, quietly, respectfully, completely. When she came home, only his luggage waited. Mine was already miles away, along with my patience. Claire was mid-sip of her Merlot when she said it, casually, like announcing a dinner special. "My ex is coming to stay for a week. If you feel uncomfortable, you can get a hotel." Her friends roared. One of them clinked a glass and added, "Make it a nice one, Evan. Don't kill the vibe." I laughed with them because the alternative was standing up and walking out right then. I'm 32, a systems engineer who pays his bills early and labels his cables. I'd been splitting rent with Claire, 28, for 18 months. Half the rent, sure, but more like 70% of the life. My credit bought the 65-inch TV. My weekends built the IKEA furniture she picked but never assembled. My espresso machine, my cookware, my streaming accounts. Her lease, yes, but my fingerprints were on every drawer handle. So when she smiled, that soft, relieved smile, like I just untangled a knot for her, I understood exactly what I was in this equation. Not a partner, not even a roommate, a sponsor, a quiet financial convenience who also happened to sleep beside her. I said, calm as a monk, "Sure, Claire, if that makes things easier, I'll go." The way her shoulders dropped told me everything. She'd expected resistance, a fight she could dramatize to her friends later. Instead, she got compliance, and that unsettled her more than anger would've. Dinner continued. The table filled with talk about flights and airport pickups. Her friend Tasha joking about how it'll be like old times. Old times for who, exactly? Claire smiled too wide and said, "Dan's just a friend now." They all nodded, satisfied with their own script. I chewed slowly, tasted nothing, and counted the seconds until I could stand without drawing attention. Back at the apartment, she was cross-legged on the couch, scrolling her phone, laughing at memes, wine glass perched on her thigh like the world was fine. The same phone she used to coordinate her ex's visit. I went to the kitchen, washed a single plate, wiped the counter, and thought, not in the angry, pacing way, but in that clean, surgical way you think before ending something broken. If I was the one who had to leave for her ex's comfort, I wasn't her partner. I was her placeholder until nostalgia came to town. She looked up once, half-smile. "You okay?" "Yeah," I said. "Just thinking about work." She nodded, already back to her screen. That night I lay awake, watching the ceiling fan spin shadows over the wall, listening to her breathe beside me. I realized how much of my life I'd arranged around her habits. The quiet mornings because she slept late, the dinners that matched her teaching schedule, the savings spent on decor that fit her aesthetic, not mine. When someone shows you how replaceable you are, you don't argue. You confirm it. I planned nothing dramatic, no confrontation, just clarity. She wanted a week of catching up with her ex in the home I maintained. She could have it. I'd give her more than space. I'd give her emptiness. In the morning I made coffee, left her steaming on the counter out of habit, and watched her tie her hair into that perfect instructor bun before heading to class. "You're not mad, right?" she asked at the door, light and casual. "Not at all," I said. "Have a good session." She smiled, reassured by my calm, and left with her mat slung over her shoulder. The door closed. The apartment hummed with the fridge motor and silence. I looked around at everything I'd bought, everything she'd taken for granted, and finally said aloud to no one, "Time to go." The next morning, Claire left early for her 8 a.m. yoga class, music playing low while she packed her tote with incense sticks and a Bluetooth speaker. She kissed my cheek like nothing was off. "Don't forget the electric bill," she said. "Wouldn't dream of it." The door clicked shut. I poured another coffee, sat at the kitchen island, and opened my laptop. My pulse was steady, almost too steady. When the clarity hits, it's like a switch. First move, housing. 10 nights at the Wyndham on Riverside, full kitchen, washer-dryer, balcony view of the water. $380 a night. I booked immediately, non-refundable. Felt symbolic, no going back. Confirmation email, printed and folded into a manila folder labeled transition. Second, moving. I Googled same-day movers Austin and called the first company that didn't sound like a scam. Rapid Move ATX. A guy named Raul answered. How fast you need it? 4 hours. Furniture. Electronics. One large terrarium. Terrarium. Glass. Heavy. My frogs live in it. Pause. You mean live frogs? Yeah. He whistled. That's a first. We'll handle it. Deposit paid. Appointment set for Monday, 8 a.m. Then storage. Climate controlled. 10 by 20. Access code. $290 a month. Signed the lease online. I spent the rest of that Friday listing everything that was mine in a small spiral notebook. TV, couch, bar cart, espresso machine, cookware, desk setup, terrarium, tools, records. Everything Claire owned could fit in her hatchback. 2 yoga mats, thrift store dresser, a bookshelf she'd rescued from the curb, and the mattress she swore was temporary, but somehow lasted a year. For her comfort, I ordered a brand new queen air mattress on Amazon. Top tier, self-inflating, $219. Added sheets, a pillow set, and even a lavender-scented candle because I'm apparently incapable of pure spite. By Saturday, she was in full hostess mode. Lighting candles, rearranging cushions, vacuuming, humming to herself as she prepared for Dan. I watched her from the kitchen, each movement like a rehearsal for someone else's arrival. She caught my eye once and smiled. You don't mind if I move your gaming chair, do you? Clashes with the vibe. Do what you need, I said. She didn't notice the small stack of flattened boxes by the closet or the moving labels I'd bought from Office Depot. Sunday, while she met her friends for brunch, I started the real work. Packed my clothes into clear bins, labeled by season. Wrapped my records in towels. Coiled every cable neatly. I even dusted as I went. Old habits die tidy. When she returned that evening, I was sitting on the balcony pretending to read. She waved a phone at me. Dan's flight's confirmed. He lands Monday at 2. You sure you're okay with this? Completely okay. She beamed. See? I knew you'd understand. You're such a grown-up about these things. I smiled back and thought, you have no idea how grown up. Later that night, while she scrolled through her phone in bed, laughing softly at something Dan had posted, I lay beside her, memorizing the stillness of the room. The terrarium light glowed faintly green, misting at its set interval. The frogs clicked softly inside their miniature world. Content, self-sustaining, perfect. By midnight, the decision was complete. Every action scheduled, every item accounted for. Monday would be execution day. I slept deeply, dreamless, for the first time in months. When she left for class Monday morning, she kissed me absently. You're the best, she said. I smiled, genuine this time. You too. She didn't notice that my side of the closet was already bare except for one hanger, holding the shirt I planned to wear when I left. Monday morning broke gray and humid, the kind of Austin dawn that smells like wet asphalt and coffee. Claire's alarm went off at 6:45. She hit snooze twice before finally dragging herself up. She hummed while getting dressed, asked if I could drive her later, then remembered she'd need her car for Dan's airport pickup. Never mind, she said, smiling. You'll probably be at work. Probably, I said. When the door closed behind her, I counted to 10 before moving. Routine first, shower, shave, one more cup of coffee. The apartment looked peaceful, unaware it was living its last few hours of shared life. At 8 o'clock sharp, Raul and his crew rolled up. 2 guys, a dolly, and a truck that smelled faintly of pine cleaner. You the frog guy? Raul asked. That's me. They worked fast. TV wrapped in thick plastic, couch legs unscrewed, my books boxed and labeled. The terrarium took the longest, draining the mist reservoir, sealing each frog in temporary containers, loading the glass case with surgical care. Raul took photos for his insurance record. I took one for closure. By 10:30, the living room was stripped to its skeleton. The faint outlines of furniture still ghosted the carpet, little dust borders of memory. I left the curtains open. The light made the emptiness look intentional. At noon, everything that was mine was on the truck. I handed Raoul the final check and thanked him. "Breakups, huh?" he said, wiping sweat from his brow. "Something like that." He gave a sympathetic grunt, climbed into the cab, and drove off. Silence settled, different from ordinary silence. It echoed. Even the fridge hum felt louder, like it was confused about being the only thing left. I walked through each room one last time. Bedroom bare except for her mattress, the tiny bathroom with her scented candles, the kitchen stripped of cookware but still smelling faintly of espresso. The apartment wasn't angry. It was neutral, relieved. On the counter, I placed a single cardboard box. Inside, the brand new air mattress, folded neatly with fresh sheets and a lavender candle. On top, a note written in calm block letters. "Claire, per your suggestion, I've gone to a hotel so as not to interfere with your guest's visit. Have a great week. E." I centered it perfectly on the floor of the living room. Then I locked the door, slid the key under it, and walked down the hall. By 1 p.m., I was at the hotel bar overlooking the river. The air smelled of citrus polish and new beginnings. I ordered a whiskey neat, double, and turned off my phone. When I finally turned it back on around 4 o'clock, the notifications poured in like rain. 2:07 p.m. Where's the TV? 2:11 p.m. Is this a joke? 2:23 p.m. Dan lands in 2 hours. What did you do? I read them all, finished my drink, and didn't reply. At 5 o'clock came a voicemail. Her voice, high and shaky. "Evan, this isn't funny. You took everything. You ruined everything." Followed by a second message. "You can't just leave. Dan's coming." I stared out at the slow-moving water, the reflection of the bridge lights, and realized I'd expected to feel guilt or vindication. Instead, I felt stillness. By evening, she'd sent 12 texts and 3 missed calls. I switched the phone to Do Not Disturb and ordered dinner. The bartender, a middle-aged guy polishing glasses, nodded toward my silent phone. "Rough day. Liberating one," I said. He smiled knowingly. "Cheers to that." I clinked my glass against the wood, took a sip, and watched the sun dip below the horizon. Behind me, somewhere across town, Claire would be walking into that echoing apartment, realizing her week of hospitality had come with an unplanned vacancy. For the first time in years, the story wasn't about her reaction. It was about my exit. By dawn, the hangover of freedom had settled into something cleaner, like quiet after a storm. I brewed the hotel's terrible pod coffee, opened the curtains, and let the river light spill over the small desk. My phone blinked on the nightstand, vibrating in short, angry bursts. I ignored it until curiosity won. 9 missed calls, 16 texts. The first few were all caps. The last one was almost polite. "Hey, can we talk? Please." Then a new number appeared. "Hey man, this is Dan. Claire's losing it. Can you at least bring the couch back? We want to watch the game." I read it twice, laughed once, and typed back. "Hey Dan, everything missing belongs to me. I just followed Claire's suggestion. She has a new air mattress now, top tier, built-in pump. Enjoy." He didn't reply. 10 minutes later, Claire called. "Evan? What the actual hell? You took everything, even the coffee machine." "It's my espresso machine. I have the receipt." "And the tank? My plants are dying without the humidity." "The terrarium? Also mine. You said you wanted space for your guest." "I made space." Her breathing sharpened. "You're insane. You ruined my deposit. Send me the quote. The movers are insured." Dead air. Then a hissed. "Dan's sleeping on the floor. On a luxury air mattress," I said. "With fresh sheets." She hung up. For the next 2 days, she texted in emotional Morse code. Fury, guilt, charm, threats. One read, "I can't believe you do this to me." Another, "You should have at least left the TV for Dan." My replies stayed consistent. Silence. Wednesday, hotel housekeeping knocked. I was mid-call with a recruiter for a new contract position. 6 months, double my current rate. The timing felt karmic. I booked an interview for Friday, then went downstairs for breakfast. Halfway through my omelet, the front desk called, "Mr. Tate, a woman's here insisting to see you. Says it's urgent. Brown hair, 5'5", lots of emotional energy?" A pause. "That would be accurate, sir. Tell her I'm not available." 5 minutes later, I saw her through the lobby windows, arguing with the concierge, waving her phone, then storming out to her car. Her texts arrived before she'd cleared the parking lot. "Coward. You can't ghost me forever. Dan says you're petty." Petty felt like freedom. That night, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. A woman's voice, older, composed. "This is Donna, Claire's mother." I sipped my drink. "Evening, Donna. You left my daughter with nothing. She's been crying for days. How could you strip her home bare?" "I removed my belongings from an apartment I paid for. She's heartbroken. You should be ashamed. A real man would help her get back on her feet." "Donna, your daughter asked me to leave so her ex could stay. I followed directions." "You're twisting things. She meant it differently." "Then she should have said it differently." Donna's breath trembled through the line. "You've humiliated her." "No," I said quietly. "She did that herself." Click. I turned off the phone again and opened the balcony door. The night breeze carried the faint hum of the highway and someone's distant music. For the first time in years, no one needed me to explain, apologize, or perform calmness for their chaos. I slept without dreams. Thursday morning brought the inevitable social campaign. Mutual friends started popping into my messages like automated sympathy bots. "She's really struggling. Maybe talk to her?" Or "She said you took everything, man." Harsh move. I answered none of them. The story they'd been told wasn't mine to fix. I'd built a home, and she'd invited someone else into it. That was the entire plot. At noon, I received a delivery confirmation email from Rapid Move ATX. Storage unit secured. A small line item of finality. That evening, while the sun turned the river orange, I raised a glass of hotel bourbon and made a private toast. Not to revenge, but to clean exits. Claire wanted a week of hospitality. She got a masterclass in absence. Friday morning, a polite knock rattled my hotel door. I opened it expecting housekeeping. Instead, a cardboard box sat in the hallway with no return label. Inside, my spare hoodie, a toothbrush, and a note in Claire's looping handwriting. "Since you love packing so much, thought you'd like these back. See." I laughed once and set the box by the trash. The campaign had begun. At 10 a.m., my phone lit up with a call from an unfamiliar number. I let it ring. Voicemail followed. "This is Donna again. You can't ignore us forever. My daughter's in pieces. Call me." By noon, I'd counted 7 calls from her, 3 from Claire's number, and 1 from a landline that turned out to be her father. His message was short. "Son, do the right thing. Settle this before it gets ugly." That word, settle, told me everything. They thought this was negotiation. I texted a single line to Claire. "Your belongings are intact in the apartment. Mine are not up for discussion." She replied instantly. "You can't just walk away. We shared that life. You owe me for the furniture." I typed, "My receipts say otherwise." 10 seconds later, another, "I can't afford the rent now. Be decent. Help me out for 2 months." "You have a guest," I answered. "Maybe he can split it." Silence for an hour, then a final message. "You're heartless." I didn't reply. That evening, while I was on the treadmill at the hotel gym, my mother called. She never calls at dinner unless something's wrong. "Evan, honey, I just got the strangest voicemail from a woman named Donna. Said you abandoned her daughter and stole everything from the apartment." I stepped off the treadmill. "She really called you?" "She did. Said you're financially abusing Claire." "Evan, what is happening?" So I told her. All of it. The dinner, the ex, the exit. Mom listened quietly. When I finished, she exhaled like she'd been holding her breath for years. "She sounds unwell. Don't give them a penny." "Already decided that," I said. "Good. I'll block her. You should too. And maybe change hotels." I smiled. Already planning on that. The next day, I moved to a serviced apartment uptown. Longer term, quieter. The kind of place where no one asks questions. When I unpacked, I noticed something comforting. The terrarium's timer light flicked on exactly at 6. The frogs chirped softly, oblivious to human drama. Saturday afternoon, my friend Matt called. Bro, Claire's telling everyone you emptied the apartment in revenge. She says you left her with no bed. I left her a bed, I said. Inflatable but functional. He laughed. You serious? Brand new, built-in pump. I even left a candle. Damn, you're colder than I thought. Not cold, I said. Just finished. Sunday brought a final push from Donna, this time through social media. She posted a long Facebook status about men who weaponize money to punish women. Tagged Claire. The comments flooded with sympathy emojis. A mutual friend sent me a screenshot. I recognized half the commenters as people who'd never once set foot in our apartment. I didn't post a rebuttal. I didn't need to. Instead, I emailed my HR department, formally requesting a payroll address change to the new apartment and updating my emergency contact. Administrative hygiene, it felt cleaner than any revenge could. That night, I ordered dinner delivery and scrolled through listings for a permanent place. One caught my eye. A one-bedroom overlooking Zilker Park, pet-friendly, large windows. Lease applications open Monday. Before bed, my mom texted, Donna tried again. Blocked her for good. Proud of you for keeping your head. I replied with a photo of the frogs glowing under their mist light. Peace looks like this. Claire didn't stop, of course. A new number every few days. Voicemails swinging from apologies to rage. Dan's gone. I made a mistake. You can't do this to me. I loved you. Each message shorter, more brittle, like glass cracking. By midweek, the calls slowed. Silence spread in their place, wide, clean, merciful. For the first time in months, I woke up without my jaw clenched. The campaign had failed. The only person left to convince was herself. A month later, the noise had burned itself out. My phone stayed silent except for work emails and my mother's evening check-ins. The hotel lease ran its course and I moved into the Zilker apartment. One bedroom, big window, a patch of balcony just wide enough for the terrarium. When the movers set it in the corner, mist hissing over moss and tiny orchids, the frogs began chirping immediately. I took that as approval. The first night there, I opened a bottle of bourbon I'd been saving and sat on the floor among half-unpacked boxes. No candles, no arguments. Just the hum of the refrigerator and the city outside. I realized I hadn't thought about Claire for an entire day. That felt like winning. The next week brought echoes of the past trying to reattach themselves. A text from her best friend. She misses you. She knows she messed up. Maybe just meet for coffee? I stared at it, thumb hovering. Then deleted it. Coffee is a pretext for reopening wounds. I was finally scabbed over. 2 days later, Matt called. Man, she's spinning. Said you overreacted. She wants to make things right. I laughed softly. She didn't lose love, Matt. She lost funding. He hesitated. You sure you're not being too harsh? I'm sure. I just stopped subsidizing chaos. After that, people stopped calling. Even gossip runs out of fuel when it doesn't get a reaction. By mid-month, I'd settled into routine. Work, gym, evenings on the balcony, watching the city lights ripple over the river. I bought new furniture, not to replace what I'd lost, but to choose what actually fit me. A walnut desk, a linen couch, a small espresso setup identical to the one she'd once called too industrial. Every purchase felt like reclaiming square footage inside my own head. One night, curiosity betrayed me. I searched her profile. Public again. Photos with friends, yoga classes, wine tastings. Dan nowhere in sight. A caption under one selfie read, "Healing isn't linear, but it's worth it." I hoped that was true for her. Then I closed the tab and blocked the account properly this time. When bills came due, I realized how light my life had become. No shared streaming services, no joint grocery lists, no arguments about whose turn it was to clean the bathroom. The peace wasn't dramatic. It was domestic. Even silence has texture when it's earned. A letter arrived from the storage company reminding me my contract was up for renewal. I drove there on a Sunday morning, opened the roll-up door, and looked at the boxes stacked neatly inside. They felt like artifacts from another person's life. I kept the essentials and donated the rest. The spare chairs she'd insisted on, the neutral throw pillows, the art prints that had meant nothing to me. I left with 1 truckload instead of 3. Back home, I set up the last piece. A framed photo of my dad and me fishing when I was 8. It had been buried behind all that decor, unseen for years. Finally had space. That evening, a new number texted. "Hope you're happy. I'm starting over." No signature. None needed. I typed a reply, then erased it. The best message is no message at all. I turned off the phone, poured another drink, and listened to the steady mist cycle of the terrarium. The frogs clicked in the rhythm of rain. Peace has a sound. It's just quieter than love. Sometimes I think about that night at the restaurant when she made the joke, and how everyone laughed. I wonder if any of them ever asked her later how that week went. If she told them about the empty apartment and the note. Maybe she did. Maybe she didn't. Either way, the story's over. I didn't storm out. I didn't shout. I didn't break a thing. I just left, quietly, respectfully, completely. And when I wake now, sunlight spilling over the terrarium glass, the only thing I feel is relief. Not triumph, not regret. Just that clean, weightless kind of peace that comes when you finally stop explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding.